for your phone. Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to Security Tales. Just give me one moment. I'm going to be going to Facebook. I just want to get these guys live. Today's a somber day. I have Dr. Winnie Wong that's on the phone. Chris Kosher is always on the phone. And also a very old friend of mine that I worked the prison system, Tony Titus, reaching out to us from Texas. And today's a saddened day for all of us. So first, I'm going to set it up and we're going to begin the show. But before I begin the show, I'm first going to start out by welcoming, first of all, my co-host, Chris. What's going on, Chris? How are you?
What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm not good today, bro. I'm not good, but we're going to discuss this on the show. My other person is my wife, Dr. Winnie Wong. How you doing, Dr. Wong?
I'm okay.
All right. Great to have you aboard today, and thank you for joining us. And lastly, one of my old dear friends for many moons I worked behind the walls with, and we've had some fun together. His name is Tommy Titus. Tommy, welcome aboard, my old brother. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Prayers for you today.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us. It really means a lot. Now, Tommy, you moved to Texas, right?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Nice. Where it roams free or something? What's the line?
It's the friendship state.
The friendship state, everyone. Friendship.
I think you're thinking of where the buffalo roam and something.
Yes, Dr. Wong. That's exactly what I'm thinking about.
Where the buffalo roam free.
Yes. Hey, so listen, everyone. I had three close friends of mine, and also my wife is I had them come up aboard today, and I wanted to touch base. And today's a somber day, I feel, for everyone. So I'm gonna do a little intro today, and I want to explain something. So me and Chris started this podcast together, and we basically, we want to do what we want to do, but we also want to explain, who we are and what it's all about to us. And I'm so sorry. Right now, I'm just redoing because no idea when people know I'm on this, they start calling, they're watching, but they decide to call. Don't call. If you're watching the show and you're on my Facebook, don't call my Facebook. It doesn't work that way. I got to get up and block it. So please don't do that. All right. Because what's going to happen is I'm going to block you, period. And I ain't going to talk to you ever again. So don't do that. If you want to ask a question, please do. And I'm sorry for being this way, but it always seems to be when I'm on it, somebody on Facebook is watching it and decides to call and freeze the screen. So what I kind of wanted to touch base on is me and Chris, basically, we kind of came up with this thing. We're both retired, and we kind of wanted to discuss what really bothers us in a lot of things that go on. So first, I want to give out my tribute to the 9/11 people that have passed away and to their families. Still my condolences. That was an awful day, as yesterday was. So I'm going to start out by saying, welcome to Security Tales. I'm your host, Felipe Montero. I have Chris Kosher on, my co-host. Once again, he's on the phone. I have Dr. Winnie Wong on today, and I have a dear friend of mine also that I consider family. His name is Tommy Titus, worked with me also in the department. So I'm a proud Bostonian. I'm a proud American, and I'm a proud son of a Cape Verdean immigrants. Now, just like I said, this is kind of emotional because this is really upsetting to me. They came here legally, worked hard, and built a life. Cape Verdean is a small island nation of the coast of West Africa. Our people are a mix of African and Portuguese heritage. We're known for resilience, family, faith, music, and hard work. That's in my blood. My family came here legal. I am second generation, and I carry that pride with no pause. I carry it 100%. That's who I am. I am Cape Verdean, American. I am Republican. I back President Trump. I believe in law and order, in free speech, in God, family, and community. Okay, so my introduction is I want to explain who I am today, because I don't think me, Chris, the whole time we've been speaking, we've actually explained or just said what we stand for. Okay. So this world is spinning and out of control, and I will not stay quiet. Too many people hide their beliefs. I won't. You deserve to know exactly where I stand. Okay. This isn't just a show of headlines. This is a story of my beliefs, Chris' beliefs, Dr. Wong's beliefs, Tommy Titus's beliefs. We may have different beliefs, but it's beliefs, and that's not what I'm going against. I'm sorry. Somebody's doing something in the background, which is causing a lot of reverb over here. Can you mute if you're not going to say whatever it is in the back on the phone? This isn't just a show. It's not a headline. This is our story, our beliefs, our reflections on what's happening in America today. So thank you so much for joining us today, everyone. As I stated, to me, this is an emotional day. Tommy, since you're my newest guest, would you like to give a shout out and explain who you are and what you do?
Sure. Currently, I'm a park ranger down here in the Woodlands, Texas. I spent most of my life in Massachusetts. Couldn't be happier to be out of Massachusetts. I mean that in most genuinely. Oh God, I love the people. I love the people I work with, but there was so many people that I didn't care for, and they're all showing their colors now. And you know it, they're they're blue. They're blue, and I like to tell people down here. I said, where I come from, the people are like the weather. They're a little bitter and they're a little cold, and they all tell me that they've been up to Massachusetts and they don't see that. And I said, well, you didn't get out of the areas where they take, the visitors. They do all the stuff that tourists do. But anyway, getting back to, I worked for 26 years in the Department of Corrections, and I retired at 57, and I could not get out of Massachusetts fast enough once I retired. I retired in July. I was in Texas by September, and I miss my children. They're both up there. They both work in law enforcement up there, and I fear for them more than anything. My beliefs are they're right in line with yours, Felipe. I am a conservative Republican, have been since I was able to vote at 18 years old. I actually met the governor of Massachusetts, Governor Dukakis, and you can tell when you shake a man's hand what kind of man he is. And that's all I'm going to say about that, because he had a clammy, weak handshake, and that's how I felt about it. I was like, I could never. So I didn't. And I never have. I've always been a staunch Republican, and it pisses so many people in Massachusetts off because they all thought I wasn't. They all thought I was a Democrat, and I certainly wasn't. But anyway, that's a little bit about myself. And again, we spent a lot of time in the prison together, you and I.
Absolutely.
We did fun.
We absolutely did, Tommy, and I appreciate that we've been blessed with knowing each other for the amount of years we've known each other.
Yes.
And I appreciate that little input. Now, my second person is Chris. We've never actually discussed we've always discussed your background, which, I've known you since we've been kids. I'm so proud of you. I've seen what you elevated yourself out to be. Hey guys, when I ask somebody else, can everyone just mute so that way we don't hear everybody echoing? And then, so Chris, I've never personally asked you where you stand in the politics world. I know me and you gabber and go head to head at times, but can you, before we really start the show, can you tell me who you are and let our followers know?
Well, I'd have to say I'm a Republican. I want somebody, and this is not because I'm a Republican, I just want somebody who's going to do the right thing by my country that I love, and spend some time in the military. And
thank you for your service. I forgot that. Thank you.
But just yeah, I was a tanker, and I would have went. I would have went. But I was driving the wrong kind of tank. But anyway, I just want somebody who's just going to do the right thing. I want somebody who's going to be honest. I want somebody who has integrity. I just want somebody who isn't going to do some crime or steal some money and just know that you're going to just forget about it like 3 months from now. And somebody with integrity would be really nice. Somebody who's not out for themselves. And I see that in almost all politics, whether it's local, my little city council in the town that I work in, which I still think there's bad things going on there, to, and I hate to say it, to even members of my own union. They I'm sorry, but they were out for themselves as well. So it's just hard. I think politics just corrupts everybody. But I like things fair. I like things even. I've always said, I don't mind if you kick me in the head 100 times as long as you kick everybody else in the head.
That's a great comment. I like that comment. That was actually a great comment. I like that.
Yeah, I use a different analogy, but I don't know what I can say and can't say right now. But
no, listen, it's an open door today. We have kids a block today, so I don't give a shit where it goes today, to be honest with you. Thank you, Chris. Now, Dr. Wong, Chris, can you just mute for a second? Dr. Wong, I know, obviously, in politics and stuff like that, you're versed in it and stuff, but where do you stand? And to be honest with you, I can understand, because you are a medical doctor, that if you don't want to discuss that, I totally will respect that. So do you have any input after hearing what, Tommy, I, and Chris had said? Where do you believe your beliefs lie on?
Well, let me just backtrack and say, so I grew up in California, which is very, very different from the East Coast. So I like to think that I'm pretty laid back. I grew up in the Valley, so I'm a Valley girl. And to be honest, I don't like to create waves. And I think, when you first met me, I didn't even really understand the difference between Republican and Democrat. I just like everybody to get along and be happy. And I had my beliefs, but I don't like to necessarily be enforcing them on people when they come in to see me, especially in the office. So I like to be like a, play in the sandbox nicely kind of person. But I do believe that people should be treated fairly, for sure. But and I've learned a lot about politics through our conversations. But I still am learning quite a bit. So I'm kind of new to all of this. I've been so focused on medicine and keeping things calm, but it has been starting to affect my patients when they come in with the anxiety and everything. So I feel like in one way, I'm forced to learn about this, and in other ways, I'm counseling my patients to not watch the news because it's creating such angst amongst not only with them internally, but with friends and their family.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you so much, Dr. Wong. I appreciate that. And, you shared some stuff, and means a lot, especially that, obviously you're from another state and state beliefs. And even Tommy just said it. And me and Crystal, being from Massachusetts, Tommy said almost the same thing you did, is the difference between states. And obviously being from California, it's more of that laid back mentality. And Tommy's saying where he's at, it's just totally different. He needed to get away from here because of all this stuff that's going on. So what I wanted to do is, obviously, I don't care where you stand and where it is in any type of political place right now. What I want to do first is, and I'm trying to not get emotional, is so everybody here that's on the phone knows what happened yesterday, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, so for those of you, God, Charlie Kirk was murdered while speaking at a Utah Valley University. He built turning point for USA, inspired millions of young Americans, and defended Sorry, everybody. Been watching this guy and following for a long time. And defended free speech with courage. He wasn't afraid of a debate. He wasn't afraid of criticism. He fought in the arena with ideas, only ideas. He reached students, he impacted today's world, and he taught people not to be silent. And what that really matters, everybody, really matters. Now, what really emotionally affects me is just him being gone, to be honest. And now his wife and 2 children are left without him. I know that pain. I lost my father as a child. The empty seat at that table, the advice that I was never given, the presence never felt. That pain that I have, I can't even describe. Okay? So I'm into a lot of Stoic reading and stuff. So I kind of wanted to throw this. To silence a man's words with blood is to confess your own defeat. Reason cannot be killed. Blessed are those persecuted for righteousness' sake, for there is the kingdom of heaven. I want to extend my condolences to Charlie's wife, children. I cannot imagine the grief you are carrying. You've lost a husband, you've lost a father, and now words cannot fill that role. As someone who grew up without my father, I feel the pain deeply. Millions of Americans are grieving with you, standing with you, and will keep Charlie's name alive. Why that matters, why it really matters to me, if a man can be killed in America for his words, then none of us are safe. Charlie stood for free speech, the same right I use on this show. Chris, Tommy, Dr. Wong, he spoke to the students. He gave them courage. And if they can silence him, they'll come for the rest of us. The chills to me, to the core, as a Republican, as a father, and as a man who believes in God. Think about that for a second. Everyone that's going to watch later, everyone that's watching now, think about that. Really focus and think about that. When a man's only weapon is his words, and he is silenced with violence, what does that say about where we are as a country? So, obviously, Chris, since you've been with me since this, I know I do apologize. I got a little emotional. But go ahead, Chris. I'd like you to start out and tell me what you feel about this. And I really want to speak about this today with all of you. So go ahead. I'm just gonna get a tissue. Sorry, everybody.
So to start out, I'll be honest, I did never listen to him. I did not know who he was. But still I was kind of mad at it. And I've already had some arguments with some friends on Facebook. This guy, actually not a friend. I worked with him on the job. I know he served in the military for probably at least 20 years. And he's sitting there posting crap like, well, he said this about this guy. He said this about this guy. And, he said this, and just bringing up, well, he was a bad, trying to make him out. And again, I didn't listen to him, make him out to be a bad guy. And I'm like, and I don't usually post on Facebook. I don't usually say crap. My Facebook page has actually nothing on it. But I had to respond. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? I mean, you're you served on my job for whatever, probably 30 years. You did at least 25 years in the military. And you're sitting there saying that this guy kind of got what he friggin' deserved because of what he said, and that he got, that he got killed. And I was like, and again, I didn't have a connection with Mr. Kirk or know anything, but I defended the fact that, he has a family, he has a wife, and he has a right to say what he has to say, and he has a right to friggin' live. And this guy, like I said, 25, 30 years on both jobs in the military, and he's saying this kind of crap, and I'm just like, you're just a friggin' idiot. I don't care who gets killed. Nobody should get killed. Nobody should lose their father, 2 children, I believe, nice wife, and
Chris, 31. Hey, everyone, jump in. Tommy, Dr. Wong, jump in. It's an open conversation. You guys can take it off from you. But Chris, you're absolutely right. He's 31 years old. 31 years old. He employed over 1,000 people. He gave back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was just saying. Yeah, go ahead. It's a free fall. Whoever wants.
I apologize. I also didn't know who he was because, again, I'm not that savvy with political stuff. But I would say it makes me think of the old saying, the pen is mightier than the sword. And in this instance, basically saying that words are power and strength. And when someone reverts to violence to show how they feel, that's like a coward's way of doing things, and shutting someone down instead of retorting with words, and having a conversation.
Okay.
Well, Philippe, you had said if you were sorry about getting emotional, never be sorry about being emotional, because I was as well, and I still am. I didn't know Charlie Kirk personally, but here's a man that had the governor of California on his show. Total different points of view, but he had him on his show. You can actually pull up Charlie Kirk and you can see when he
I watched it. Incredible. I watched it.
Yeah. Right. And see, that's ballsy, to take a stance. And then he Newsom looked like an idiot. I hate to say it, but he looked like an idiot in front of a 31-year-old kid that just, He didn't tear him up, but he tried to get to the point of view that Gavin had. And it's like, it was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. And I apologize to your wife. I know she's from California, but I don't yeah, Gavin Newsom did, but I don't think he's the man.
No, and I agree with you. And Christina, thank you so much.
I moved from California in 1991, so it's okay.
Christina, thank you for that comment. I appreciate it. And obviously, when we're doing things, we try to keep everything without emotions, but thank you. But what I take from this, from a conversation from every one of you, and especially Chris, and this is what upsets me. I'm not, like, everyone's so caught up. It was a left wing. It was this. I'm not even saying any of that. I am just saying, just like any other thing, someone was murdered. You're not talking about someone that deserved to be killed for words. Then Chris just basically stated to you that this guy saying he deserved it. He deserved it over words, over just intelligent words. When people came at him, you're not even graduated from school, but he's more intelligent than any person he's ever debated. And this guy found God and found Jesus. And that's a big strength to admit that it became enemies. Once he found the Lord, he ended up with so many enemies. And Chris just said it. He was just in an argument. I can't even argue it anymore. I don't want to argue it anymore. I literally have been sitting there listening to people and watching these people lose their minds, laughing about it insanely. And I'm going to be honest with you. I am so confused. I am like, his mouth was a sword. And he was like Michael to me. He was like Saint Michael. He you listen to the guy, he articulated himself so well. He had an answer for everything. Like, this guy wasn't out in the streets, wasn't out harming people, wasn't out there and taking things. But because he was a strong person, people were worried about him running for the presidency in 2028 or whatever it is. And he stated he wasn't even going to run. But are you in that much fear when we have all these shit bags that are out on this street that no one thinks it's a problem, but this guy, because he's talking as a podcast? And I don't know, team. I need help on this, because Chris just said, I was hoping one of you were going to say it, and you just said it, Chris. Someone you went to war with saying he deserved it. I would say I wouldn't wish anybody wearing a blue shirt or any human that walks this earth any violence. Even the kid that shot me in the head, I never wished him dead. Never. Did I wish to beat the shit out of him? Hell yeah. But to kill him? No. And this guy caused violence to me that I had no problem with. I didn't even have a word with this guy. I don't even know this guy. And I'm taking it back and I'm looking at what happens to me and then thinking what happened to this guy over words, over words. Help me out, guys. I'm emotional about this.
I'm concerned that, do you think other people are going to be afraid to speak out now?
Tommy had brought up something and I didn't see it. Maybe Chris saw it too. But Tommy, earlier when me and you were talking, you said there was a guy, and I'm sorry, I don't want to, because I don't want to lead the story, but you said something happened to a guy.
Well, his podcast was called The Turning Point. And I do believe that this is now going to be a turning point in this country. We're not going to stay quiet. You're going to see a lot more people are going to come out. And I told you about the guy that was riding through the vigil that they had yesterday at the Utah University on a scooter, screaming, F Charlie Kirk, F Charlie Kirk. Well, they ripped him off his scooter, put him down. Some people are starting to beat the bag out of him. Can I say that?
You can say whatever the fuck you want in plain English. This is an open forum. So I'm today, it's I apologize to my mother. It's hand free because this is bullshit.
Yeah. So but like I said, they were beating the bag out of him. Somebody started putting the boots to him. Another guy walked in, pulled him away, stood this guy up, and then the guy started flipping him off and screaming more at him. He goes, "I just saved your life. They were gonna just shot and put you to death." And he continued to flip people off. The police ended up somewhat getting involved. You'll see that they really didn't push in, but they were, people that they were telling to get back, got back. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, people were infuriated. They wanted to kill this guy. I guarantee you that. But other people intervened, pulled him away, and then this guy just walked away, flipped everybody off, and then the video ended, and I was like, God, are you kidding?
So Chris,
the night of.
Yeah, Chris, let me ask you something, because obviously you have many street years on there. I'm not even going to talk about before this. It's things should be happening with the police, bro, with the government, with everything, because now you're having students that are basically, I don't even know how to say the words right now, but what do you departments be heightened right now, or should it just be on?
I think momentary level of heightened, not in general, but if somebody else is speaking, they're going to have extra security there and stuff like that. I think in general, no. Unfortunately, good or bad, the American public have a very short memory, whether it's something like this or whether it's something like a corrupt politician. People have a short memory, and we tend to forget things because it just goes on to the the next big news story, which is unfortunate.
Chris, and I'm sorry for cutting you off with this, but I just want to put my input on that little thing you just said. This will never shut down. This will be another 9/11. It happened before 9/11. This was a disruption to society. This was an action that's never going to let go. This guy built himself that he's going to stay in people's brains forever. So I don't think this will ever fall out.
Well, it's going to stay with the people who care. There may be one or two more people out there that are going to actually take up the fight. So I don't think that it's going to I don't think that people are going to be scared to say stuff. But again, for the people who are looking, you'll see something. But if you're not really looking and you're not intently looking on it, it's on to the next unfortunate news story. I mean, you're going to know about it, but something I think I'm a little bit more into the news than you are.
You are.
Stuff like that, just general news. And I'll be honest, I didn't know, not good or bad. I knew nothing about this guy. And I am, I guess, what you would call a Trump supporter and all that stuff. So I should, but I didn't even know the name, let alone what he said or what he talked about. But when I did look into it, it was kind of interesting how it was pretty cool, actually, how this guy, I guess, he started this stuff like in high school.
Yes, he did.
Which is
absolutely
pretty cool that somebody actually gives a crap at that young of an age, about politics and stuff like that. But unfortunately, I think there'll be a couple more people out there who may take up his fight. There'll be more security, but I'll addressing it a month from now. I don't think it'll be in the news.
Getting back to this, the Post actually the New York Post posted the weapon that they supposedly found and some of the ammunition. And of course, you're going to know that they had on that ammunition some transgender kind of, language on it. So again, I hate to say this, but the last 6 shootings, maybe 7, seem to be people that lost their way.
Well, you know what, Tom? Without being explicit, I'm pointing out hands right now, and I pray on everything from the Lord above that they find who killed. And right now, I don't personally care who, what, or what they represent because it means nothing. It's to me, it's not a fight. I just want people to be able to speak, and I don't want hatred. And it's like I'm just so saddened that someone took their moment to actually devise this plan to literally, we all know this, especially us three, because of our background and what we've done, that you've actually spent your time. Like it wasn't something that just popped in your head that said, let me go kill this human today. It's something that obviously there's something offset. And the reason why, just to let you guys know why I asked Dr. Wong to come with me, she is awesome. Great. And by the way, tomorrow's going to be her birthday, and I'm so happy to spend it with her, and happy birthday, my love, and many more. And but she had brought me to an event yesterday, and Dr. Wong, could you discuss what that event is? I think you guys got to find this pretty interesting also.
It was a pharmaceutical program to discuss a new medication called Caplyta, which is used to treat bipolar depression. I'm not sure of the relevance with what we're talking about.
So everyone's talking about how, and Tommy just said a certain word, and it's people that lost their way and can't find their way. So now I'm thinking a lot when people are thinking about killing someone and people are doing things like this, are they being misdiagnosed when they go see their doctor? Is there more to this that we could help people before it goes to this extreme? I think there's so much that we're missing right now, and this world is it's just sucking into no value all of a sudden out of nowhere. I can't even think of words right now to explain it. So in my head, that's why I was like really paying attention to this. Is you don't think that anything could manifest from possibly these type of stages of bipolar 1, bipolar 2, or some type of thing like this?
Well, let me just say first, so people understand that are listening. I'm a family physician, which means I deal with all ages, men, women, or people going through transition, and all of that, all ages. And I can tell you that on a daily basis, I have people come in, and I hear this phrase all the time: political climate. And I say, when people come in for their physical, we do what we call a PH29 and a GAD-7, which screens for depression and anxiety. And I can tell you in the last 5 years, these scores are through the roof. Everything's severe anxiety, or very irritable, can't concentrate. And I was like, what's going on? Is work okay? Is everything okay at home? And the answer I always get is the political climate. They're like, this is causing me so much stress. I'm so upset. I can't watch the news. It's causing distress at home with my spouse. It's really gotten a lot worse over the last few years. It's affecting people a lot psychologically and then physically. So that's first and foremost that I've noticed in the last 5 years, and I've been in private practice for almost 20 years now. And as far as the bipolar, I mean, they that's a little bit different because that's an internal chemical imbalance, but certainly seeing things like this can certainly trigger someone because if they're not properly medicated, it can certainly set them over the edge, for sure.
Okay.
Dr. Wong, how do you feel about the shuttering of all the mental institutions in the country that happened in the 80s?
The shuttering? What do you mean by shuttering?
Well, closing. They closed them all down. And then what happened? We got all that clientele into the prison. So we would, myself, and we were all dealing with severe mental health patients.
Tommy, I brought that up to them yesterday with all of the stuff, people that were going on in there. And it's funny, you just mentioned it without even you talking about it. I told them because they had a crisis management team there. And I was telling them all this stuff. So that's weird that you just said that. So, hey, listen. Oh, go ahead, Dr. Wong. Sorry.
I wish I could comment. In the 80s, I was in high school, but my dad would have been he was a physician, and he worked actually
That's
in
right.
The prison hospitals.
Yeah, Tommy, her dad was a prison doc.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And you got a good tough girl.
So, hey, listen. So I want my guys. Oh, okay. So it's just idling. Sorry, everybody. I kind of, because we do have some stuff, and I wanted to start that out with some impact and stuff. So once again, I want to reach out and say my condolences. And we're not here to argue about this. It's a lost life, and that's all I'm going to argue about. So if you're going to write something to us and banter us or do whatever, then you do it. If you feel it's right to go and talk the way you talk and do what you do over a loss of life, then you know what? I'll say a prayer for you. For real. I really will. But I want to just start out before we move on to the next segment. I want to say I am very saddened. I am very heartbroken about this. So my condolences to the Kirk family. Chris, you want to say anything before we move on?
Yes, I just wanted to say back up a small second in support of your boy and explain something. I'm sure Dr. Wong does not know about this, but I did a quick list of hospitals and mass that closed because mental health, and there's probably 20 on the list. It's Westboro, Taunton, Rutland, Northampton, Medfield, Grafton, Gardner, Foxborough, Danvers, Boston, Worcester, and several more. But yeah, so in support of that, we did close, and these hospitals were giant. I know I've been into one in Taunton and Westboro for training, but the one in Westboro was like a small city, and Titus is right. They closed it and and just put the people anywhere.
I did not
So,
know
I'm
that.
sure she's
Thank you,
not from-
Tom.
Yeah, she's not from that, so I know she didn't know about that stuff.
No, and I do apologize, Dr. Wong. I didn't want to push you in a spot, but I was just asking because I found that event pretty interesting, and then stuff like this was happening, and then Tommy had made that comment, and the word was lost, and in my head, I kind of associated with that, which is the way I think. So, Tommy, before we move on to the next segment, anything else to the Kirk family?
Well, yeah, my most sincere condolences go out to them. I enjoyed everything that he did. He brought the youth around. They actually got interested in the political theater, and it's just unfortunate that he's no longer here to help with them.
Thank you for that. Dr. Wong, I know that you obviously know I listen to a lot of podcasts. As Chris says, I don't listen to the news. I listen to podcasts. I love podcast news. I believe it's free and it's truthful. But would you like to say anything else to the Kirk family?
I am very sorry for their loss, and I'm gonna do my research and listen to his podcast. I want to learn more and educate myself, and obviously, because this has impacted you so much, I'm very sorry about that. And I want to learn and educate why he was so impactful to you and others and millions of others.
It's because he took his time to learn about everything. There wasn't, he didn't just focus on one thing. That's all. So once again, on behalf of Security Tales, I am so sorry to the Kirk family. So, guys, I want to touch base because I'm going to roll in little by little into the Boston stuff. And Tommy had sent some great stuff. But what I wanted to talk about was the Charlotte real murder of, and I do apologize if I say this wrong, Iryna Zarutska. Chris, am I saying that right? Zarutska? No? Tommy, am I saying it right?
Yeah, Iryna. Yeah, so, and the last name is Ukrainian, so we'll all mess it up.
Okay, and I do apologize.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I thought Chris would know since he knows all big words. So I'm going to give you guys a little synopsis of it. So Iryna Zarutska, and I do apologize to her and her family. She was 23 years old. She came to the U.S. in 2022 as a refugee from Ukraine. She fled bombs, worked at a pizzeria, and dreamed of becoming a veterinarian assistant. Another senseless murder. On August 22nd, she sat alone on a Charlotte train when she was attacked and stabbed in the neck. She never even made it home. Now, Tommy, I find this interesting in Dr. Wong and even Chris, since Chris looked up, but I don't know if he's still there. But her killer had a history of arrest, mental issues, but excuses don't matter when a life is gone. And this is like where it's led. I want everyone to take that for sense value. Excuses don't matter when a life is gone. Her parents fled a war only to bury their daughter in the country they thought was safe. When a society cannot keep its commuters safe, fear becomes law and liberty becomes a rumor. Now, I want everyone to really think of what I just said. When a society cannot keep its commuters safe, fear becomes law and liberty becomes a rumor. My condolences to Iryna's family. You left everything behind in Ukraine to protect your daughter, only to face the unthinkable. And just to let you guys know, I'm emotional about this because my daughter's 19. So this bothers me. She deserved a life. And while we cannot take away your pain, we can say her name, tell her story, and demand a safer country in her honor. As a father myself, I feel this loss deeply. May God hold you
in this time of grief. All right. So I kind of wanted to bring up that story because of what's been going on with the burning of that lady that occurred in New York and all this. So I kind of wanted to get a little more in depth. My family came here legally too. We worked hard. We believed America was safe. To see a young woman in a refuge, someone who wanted nothing more than to work and care for animals, murdered on a train, that burns me. It burns me in my chest. It matters because it's our leaders. Can't keep people safe on public transit, then they are failing at the most basic duty of government. Okay. So I kind of want you guys, if you guys aren't familiar with it, research it and look it up or whatever it is. But it hits home for it because it's a child. It was senseless. Go ahead. You guys are on the phone. Give me some inputs about this.
DeCarlos Brown was arrested 14 times. He belonged in a mental institution, in my opinion. He belonged being medicated until he could get his mind right, basically, because that was a mindless thing to do, what he did. And the other thing is, the other riders on that train offered that girl no help at all.
Nothing. Absolutely, Tommy, nothing. Just looked while the guy started walking, Tommy.
Oh, yes. And the thing about that is, each and every one of them probably had the name Daniel Penny. I think I brought this up a show or two ago. Daniel Penny did something about it, held the guy down. The guy died, but not because of the hole Daniel Penny had him in. And so Daniel Penny was finally acquitted of charges against him. But he did the right thing, and he almost went to jail. And so that's what needs to change. We really got to get mental institutions reopened. People need to be put in there that are having these episodes. They need to be not hurt, nothing like that, perhaps medicated until they can get their minds right. And maybe they'll never get their minds right. But everyone needs to be a community on a train, on a plane. You got to get involved.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't even know what to say about that point. Chris, anything from you?
I mean, it's obviously a senseless tragedy. It's unbelievable to think about it. And in fact, to your quick point for a second, I'll be sending that video to my daughter because she does ride the train from New York to Boston sometimes.
Oh my God, I'm gonna say a prayer.
Yeah, so so that, and I'm sorry, where was I going? And this is to a bigger point, but everyone says guns should be taken away from people, and again, I'm not a gun guy. I'd like to, but I believe people should be able to have guns, and they always look to the wrong thing. That the police should have done this, the police should have done that, the police should have taken away the guns, they should have done this, but unfortunately, a lot of the police's powers, and again, this is not so much this, but other scenarios, police's powers are limited in what they can do. You go in and take somebody's guns away because you think he's not right. They're gonna chastise you and scream at your amendments. So they have to give police more powers to do things because we're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't. And in fact, when there was that big push to take away qualified immunity from police. That if we do the right thing, if we do the wrong thing, we're screwed. But if you do the right thing and a bad outcome happens, like I give you CPR, I end up breaking your ribs, stuff like that, or I try to do the right thing. They were talking about taking that away. The union actually came out with a stance that if we lose our qualified immunity, you'd be better off doing nothing than acting. Was kind of the consensus that people were starting. And because if you do something, you can get in trouble. If you don't do something, you're just getting less trouble. So, it was a tough time that we were going through for a while.
So, Chris, I like your analogy when you were discussing that thing about the guns. I feel it's a reverse. People shouldn't lose their guns, but I feel people shouldn't have certain people And I think that when we're seeing certain crimes like this that are occurring, I never really see that much around Massachusetts because it's so hard to get those licenses. We have to go through so much with psych and everything to get an LTC. And then if we end up doing something, we automatically lose it. And it seems to be every other state but our state. Like, I don't see like people, us that legally carry, going around and shooting people. I've had my gun since I was old enough to have it. Tommy, you've had it since you've been old enough. Chris, you've had it. Dr. Wong has it.
My position isn't, people should have guns, but the police need to have more powers, to do things because I'm fine with it. Everybody having a gun, that's fine. That's your right. But let's keep in mind, you take guns away from X number of people, the criminals are still going to get it. The person who's planning something horrific such as that can still get it. So by limiting who can get a gun, you're only taking away from the people who are going to abide by the law. You need to fix the problem, and the problem isn't the guns. And I gotta say, I'm sorry, even the problem isn't the fully automatic guns, because you can fire almost as fast, with a semi-auto as you can with a full auto. And again, I am not a gun guy. I don't even own a rifle. So the problem is, like Tyler said, the problem is the mental health, not the guns or not anything else. It's the mental health. That's the problem.
Okay. Dr. Wong, do you have an input on that after hearing us speak?
So I have a couple of things. I think, so sadly, you can never assume that any place is safe. The United States,
Sad to say.
Cancun, Mexico, or so to think that you're going to go to a safer place. And sadly, you have to just know that there are bad people out there. So no place is safe, first of all. And then secondly, I'm going to back up what Chris said about and play devil's advocate to what Tommy said about that people need to step up and do the right thing. So back in the day, doctors used to have MD license plates. And if you drove by someone who was in distress, you would pull over and you would help them do CPR, like Chris said, or whatever they needed. And doctors started not to have the MD license plates because if you saw someone and you helped them and, like you said, broke a rib doing CPR, they could sue you. Our American society, because we're so litigious, has made it almost impossible for people to want to do the right thing because we're so afraid of being chastised if we do the wrong thing by helping.
So, Dr. Wong, and I do apologize for this, but because you just said that, right? Can you tell the audience, and obviously us as the team, what happened on an air flight that we were on? You remember?
Yeah, I remember somebody, I think they couldn't breathe or something, and then they asked for medical help, and I looked at you and I was like, I was conflicted. I was like, do I help? But then before I could get up, somebody else went and helped. I don't really remember enough to help me.
So what had happened, and I'm sorry for cutting you off because I find that interesting because Chris did really touch base on something. And you guys used to drive around with MD plates, and you guys were mandatory. If you drove by, you couldn't drive by them. You had to assist and help them out. But then you all started getting sued. So what happened was this person went into a diabetic shock and was going into a coma, supposedly, on the plane. They turned around and says, we need a medical help immediately. Dr. Wong looked at me and I said, I wouldn't touch that because I was in fear for her. Automatically, an NP jumped up and says, I will assist. Ran up there. Dr. Wong looked at me and stated, should I go? I says, absolutely not. There's two other people that just said they were EMTs. Let them handle it. Now the plane lands. Now, guys, this is where it gets interesting. When the plane lands, they held the NP. They needed all her medical credentials, her license, her numbers, who she practices with, because if something happens to the person that she assisted with, they want to be able to make sure that if they get sued, she's in on it with them. That's what happened.
It's just, it goes against what, like, Tommy is suggesting, that everybody needs to jump in and help, but then look at the blowback and what happened.
But I think Tommy meant it another way, correct, Tommy? I'm kind of confused. Please answer.
No, yes. I was thinking, my thing is, in a violent incident, say on a plane, say on a train, and you can do something, you need to do something. You need to step up, you know? Well, the guy is walking with a bloody knife on the train, but the way he blindsided that girl, I'd blindside him the same way.
Yeah.
You know?
So I don't think he was talking about medical. So I'm sorry, Dr. Wong. Just go ahead. I'm sorry, Tommy. Just, we'll have Dr. Wong
Oh,
finish.
okay.
I think about doctors because, that doctors are put at risk if they help, and that's totally wrong. You're a doctor, and you know what I mean? And you shouldn't be held over. You're going on vacation or whatever you're doing. They shouldn't hold you there like you're a common criminal and try to get all your information. And you know what I mean? Just say, hey, send us your information. That's all they got to do,
Yeah, but sadly, it really does happen, and we saw it happen.
Yeah, I did firsthand.
It's reality. Our society, again, makes it just so difficult for us to help. And then I think the other thing. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I was
The
just
other
saying,
thing
with qualified immunity, you'd be all set. And I think, we're looking at a little negative on getting her information and holding her up. Well, they wanted to get her information. I don't think it was for litigious reasons. I just think they wanted to know who she was and that she helped and stuff like that.
Yeah, but Chris,
immunity,
they literally said that to her. She goes, why am I doing this? Because I have a cop picking me up. And they said, sorry, you're going to have to come with us. You have to fill out paperwork. You assisted. That's exact. I was standing right there, Chris, and I looked at Dr. Wong and I said, told you.
Yeah, but I don't think that's wrong. I don't think it's wrong that she had to fill out paperwork and just, say who she was. I mean, because she's not going to get in trouble because if you did the right thing, you're not going to get in trouble.
But the point is, you can get in trouble because, like Chris said, if you do CPR to save someone's life and you break a rib, they can still sue you, and it does happen.
Yeah, but Chris, no, Chris just said it's not like you can get in trouble. You're just filling out paperwork. Me and Tommy are like, we're saying you can get in trouble.
If you do the right thing with qualified immunity, you can break the ribs all you want, and you have qualified immunity for that because you didn't act negligently. And yes, people can sue you for whatever they want, but they're not going to get something unless you do something negligently.
So Chris,
breaking your ribs.
But hold on, we have Dr. Wong on. So I hear what you're saying, but she's a doctor. And Dr. Wong, do you just get sued for anything? Because I've been with you quite a while, and what Chris is saying, because I see it firsthand. Can you explain to Chris that he's wrong on that?
Oh, no, it's not. It's just, yes, and the real, I see, unfortunately, you see I'm a walking target. Like, people will find anything to blame us on, and even it's because they didn't do what they were supposed to do. I tell someone to do something, they don't do it, and yet they'll turn it around and make it my fault. And they never take blame. And I, unfortunately, have had certain patients, come up and say, they're upset because I didn't do certain things. Like I had a woman who's, I have a med spa too. She was upset because she came in for her facial and her face wasn't progressing the way she wanted to because she didn't do the aftercare, and she got a lawyer involved. And but I was like, you didn't follow the post-care instructions. We told you, like, no, don't go in the sun. Use this post-care lotion and whatnot. And she wasn't satisfied because it wasn't going the way she wanted. For people, it doesn't even have to do with medicine, but everybody, I think, is always looking for someone to blame. I also want to talk about mental health. Can I talk about mental health? I think that there needs to be definitely more mental health. I struggle every day in my practice when people come in, and I would say, like, 9 out of 10 people want a referral to a psychiatrist or a therapist, or they don't want to go, but they need one. And I'm like, it's a 3-month wait. And they're like, but I need somebody right now. And unfortunately, it's gotten worse since COVID, and there's not enough mental health providers out there.
Well, Philippe, I think I had 5 lawsuits, and 2 I had to go to court for, saving guys' lives. One was at the farm, maybe 2 were at the, and then I had 3 or 4 more at that, because I saved the guy's life. It sued me. So I had to do a station attorneys. I had to sit in front of there was one that was a death. I had to sit in front of the board that they put together, the mortality board.
Yeah.
And in front of all the state troopers. I love this, Chris, because that's what I said. I had no problem, because I don't believe I ever did anything wrong in the case. And then when I got to court, they says, you haven't violated an inmate's 8th Amendment rights. So they let me go home. I was like, but the stress leading up to that, and you're trying to do the right thing, it's troubling that you're sitting there going, well, maybe I don't want to do nothing the next time,
Absolutely.
And, time or 2 when I did do nothing the next time, with the guys cutting up behind on up ball watches and stuff, and you're just looking at them going, what is wrong with this guy?
I said the same thing to my wife yesterday during this event when we were talking to Christ. I told them the amount of people that were cutting up, slicing up their private parts right in front of us, like while talking to us. I couldn't understand it. But listening, because I know we got much more to talk about. So listen, I wanted to roll this in.
I want to defend my point.
Oh, go ahead.
I don't think you're really.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
What I said, like I said, and like Tommy just said, you can be sued for anything. Okay, I can sue you for anything if I can find somebody, an attorney, or I can do the paperwork myself. What I'm saying is that you can be sued for anything for any reason, but if you're not responsible, not negligently responsible, it's not going to go through. So, Tommy, you got sued 5 times. How many times were you found guilty?
0.
Okay, there you go. Right? That's the point I'm making. Is you can be sued for anything,
but it's financial and emotional stress.
Right. Well, that's unfortunate. You're never going to get rid of the fact that you can be sued for everything, and the person who's doing it's wrong. And if an attorney takes it, he's wrong. But at the same token, you kind of have to act, because you kind of have a certain responsibility, either as a human or what we did in our past, to try to do something. And with the qualified immunity, again, as long as you haven't done anything negligent, you're not going to be held responsible. I mean, did you know that judges have absolute qualified immunity?
Absolutely.
They can make the wrong decision. They can be negligent. They can do 100 things wrong, but yet they're still immune.
Yep. Absolutely. So listen, I kind of want to move forward. So I kind of want to just once again end it by just saying this segment of the episode, I do offer my condolences deeply. And obviously everybody on this phone, we have children that are about that age, and please tell your children that are in school and colleges and everyone to be aware of all the locations behind them, beside them, and everything. This world is just, I don't even know what to say anymore. It's just, I don't know. But I kind of wanted to roll into Boston now with and also using this for like an MBTA thing. Cameras that work, visible patrols, consequences for repeat offenders, and mandatory treatment for those too dangerous to roam free. Families must feel safe on the trains. And because being from Boston, and I know every one of you feel the same, it's like in the 70s, we could jump on it and have a great time, and people would be drinking, going to the games. It was just so safe. A few fist fights here and there, but that's it. It was ridiculous. So let me ask you guys something. Boston, would you let your daughter, your wife, or your mother ride the T alone or at night? I just want to ask you guys that one before I move on.
When I moved to Boston in 1991, I didn't get a vehicle until like much later. I took the T and the bus, and I walked everywhere.
Talking 2025, Dr. Wong, 2025.
Oh.
I just said 70s and 80s. All of us. I was taking a train. My mother's like telling me and my sister.
This was in the 90s and early 2000s.
Okay, let's go 2025. Let's move on a couple of years, Miss California. So would you?
I would say if you're gonna allow that you have them take some sort of self-defense awareness class.
Great
like the
suggestion.
rap class,
Great suggestion. Okay, so Chris.
because that was very helpful to me, just being aware and observing people.
Okay, love the answer. Chris?
You can't lose your freedom because of something like that. Yes, I would allow, but maybe not. She's never had a ticket. She's taken it alone during the day when she came back from college. Usually if she goes into Boston, she's not alone. Yes, I did give my daughter a legal mace.
It's not illegal.
Yes,
It's illegal. So there's no law carry mace now, so it's legal.
And yes, I did tell her that if somebody messes with you, you take your thumb, which is your strongest finger, and you stick it in their eye until you feel brain. So she does know that, and she is rather intense. So, but yeah, you can't allow that to affect you because, okay, yeah, there's a lot of bad things, but for the most part, it's pretty safe, and a lot of bad things happen. And, this too will unfortunately get forgotten because, and I'll make that analogy with, was it last year? The guy who threw gas on somebody and lit her on fire?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier in New York.
Unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable. You think you'd only see that in a TV show. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But, for the most part, it's safe.
Tommy?
Can I just back up a little bit about like what Chris said and the eyeball trick and everything? Absolutely. And Felipe, you've taught me some basic moves. And I think it also starts with like when I was saying awareness, like when you walk onto the tee, look around, make a smart choice about where you're going to locate yourself. Like maybe sit with like a group. If you're by yourself, sit with a group of like other people that are there like that. Like safe or not, like go sit in a corner next to some random person that looks sketchy, like, and starting with just basic awareness.
Okay.
Well,
Tommy?
thankfully, Chris, and thankfully, I raised two boys. Now they're 31. So, but I always trained them about situational awareness. They played every sport under the sun. One is a trooper now. One works where we left. That's Susie B.
Ah.
And so my worries aren't there. But my wife now, she had a situation when we were living up there. She was driving kids from the Dorchester area, driving kids from Mattapan, taking them to school. She'd pick them up and take them to schools like at Framingham or, it was almost like, how they did school choice type thing.
Yeah.
But these kids were troublesome kids. She had a girl in her van that was twice the size of my wife, and she was going to pick her up from school. Well, she's getting in her van, and she has her headphones on, and my wife says you can't wear your headphones in the van, so we can communicate. And she looked at my wife and says, "No, you don't tell me what to do," So she pinned my wife against the van and started choking her out.
Oh my God, Tommy.
My wife told me, she goes, "Remember that thing you told me about poking them right in the neck?" She goes, "That really worked." She took her hands off my neck, and then by that time, the school principal had seen what's going on out by fence. The police rolled in. Well, the police rolled in and acted as though my wife was the aggressor. Girl that's 2 times her size, and all she did was poke her in the throat like I showed her.
Oh
And
God.
but so I tried to get my wife to stop doing that, and she just enjoyed doing it. Help. You know what I mean? That's what she liked to do.
Which God bless her, man. She's a wonderful person. I remember her way back in the days. I've always loved her. She was a great person and still am as you.
She's a tough little porty geek.
Yeah. So listen, everybody. I just want to, once again, my condolences to her family. And I do feel you know, because she's so close to my daughter's age, and it did, you know, made me think, and I was having a hard time sleeping when I was putting this all together. But we're gonna move on to segment 3 right now. So now what I want to discuss is the operation. Now I want you guys all to pay attention. Chris, get your laptop ready. Operation Patriots 2.0. Boston stands up. Boston stands up. On September 6, 2025, ICE launched an Operation Patriot 2.0, also called by some the Boston Storm. Okay. And Tommy had sent me this, so I really started reviewing it. And thank you for sending that, Tommy. They targeted the worst. And once again, I'm not here to argue with anybody. I've researched this, and I already know, well, oh, they're immigrants, they're still great people, and this and that. But please, just hear me out. I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to argue about this whole day today about anything. They targeted the worst of the worst, hiding in our state under sanctuary city policies. The arrest included, now you ready for this, guys? Rapists, child abusers, drug traffickers, and violent predators. So me and Chris, when we talk, sometimes we don't really say names of people or criminals and everything. But today on Security Tales, they made a name list for me because, oh God, because it's an upsetting thing. Victor Gomez Perez, you shitbag from Guatemala, aggravated rape, indecent assault, assaulting a police officer. Kaylee Yorana Espinosa, Viana, Colombia, you piece of shit. Aggravated assault on a pregnant woman. Brian Valdez Plasanio, Dominican Republic, armed robbery and strangulations, piece of shit. Now, Joshua Gonzalez Baez, Dominican Republican, heroin trafficker, you piece of shit. Samuel Armando Barrera Hernandez, Guatemalan, assault on a child, you piece of shit. No, Feliciano Garcia Mija, Guatemalan, strangulations and family violence, you're a piece of shit. Paulo Limo Borges, Cape Verdean, cocaine and heroin distribution, you major piece of shit. My own blood. Thank God we're not related, you shitbag. These are not petty offenders. These are predators, and they were living in our neighborhoods. As a Republican and a Bostonian, and as a son of immigrants who came here legally, I refuse to accept this. Boston is our city, not theirs. Built by our families, protected by our neighbors. A city's strength is not its walls, but the courage of its people. And I wanted to say that because Chris had touched value with, you can't hide. You know, I'm not going to stop my daughter from taking a train, and we can't stop living. So a city's strength is not its walls, but the courage of its people. And even one of the arrested, which really now kind of humbles me, like, because I've never heard, you know, obviously we all have in every nationality a person that causes crime, but a Cape Verdean was arrested. Let me be clear. He does not represent us. My people are resilient, hardworking, faithful. We came here the right way. We built lives, and I will not let criminals destroy what we all built. Okay? So why this matters to me? This matters because Boston is my city. My family built their lives here. Each one of my people on this right now that are my family that are on this phone have the same input, and they're going to explain it. And now criminals are allowed to walk free because of politicians put sanctuary policies above our safety, above my safety, above our kids' safety. This matters to me because I will not let predators ruin our streets. This matters because the government is supposed to protect us, and they are failing. So we either speak up or watch our city get taken from us. So, guys, do you feel safer with sanctuary policies, or do you feel like politicians are protecting criminals more than you and your kids? This is the real question. So, please, Chris, you're my co-host. You start. You tell me.
I don't think it doesn't make us any safer. I think the politicians seem to be putting a lot more emphasis on, giving these people hugs and stuff like that. And again, I think my 2 cents might be worth 3 cents only because my wife, who I obviously married for 30 years now, came here when she was 14. So,
Yeah.
It's not like I'm just not speaking from somebody that I know, somebody that's close to me, somebody that if it didn't come here legally, I wouldn't be married to. So she came.
Yes,
she
Cece.
came here and came here legally, and took many, many years to get her citizenship. And
I remember, Chris. I remember that.
Yeah, but she finally did it, and so I'm sorry. It's you belong here. You don't belong here. You got to do it legally. You got to do it the right way. And the one question that I would ask a politician is that if it was your son, daughter, family member who was killed, hurt, raped, hit in a car crash, and critically wounded, how would you feel? Granted, there's 1,000 other ways that my family member can get hurt, but if somebody who's here illegally is the person who hurt them, if they weren't here, my family member wouldn't be hurt, killed, or something along those lines.
Great point, Chris. Great point. Tommy.
Seeing what's happening in DC. DC is now a safe place to be. And the reason is because this president did the right thing, brought in the National Guard, brought in ICE, brought in and the mayor of DC, who's a Democrat, agrees. What he did was the right thing to do. Why can't Governor Healy, and Mayor Wu simply agree that it is the right thing to do? Take out the bad guys, bring in help, accept the help, and clean up the city. And it's not just Boston, it's Chicago, it's Detroit, it's Houston, it's, you know what I mean? Every city run by these, I'm going to say, demented Democrats, because to me, they seem demented, not to want to fix the problems in the city.
Absolutely. Love it. Dr. Wong?
I'm going to be honest. I'm not as well versed as these gentlemen about this, so I want to clarify what you mean by sanctuary policy. Are you talking about the discrepancy between the local government versus the federal government and how they deal with immigrants?
Go ahead, Chris. Or Tommy.
Yeah, immigrants flock to the cities. And that's why the governor in Texas says, oh, you want to see what immigration's all about? When he started busing people to Boston, to New York, to all over the country, and people are like, oh, we're overwhelmed now. We're overwhelmed. And then they turn and spun it and says, oh, no, this is going to change our voting base. Because yes. They invited all the immigrants, and so then they put them in hotels. They used taxpayer money, put them in hotels, and the poor homeless people in those cities just got ignored.
Chris, would you like to add anything into that?
On her question,
no, her question.
Yes,
her question. So she's versed, because my only answer is going to be like this. Remember when Martha's Vineyard accepted all the illegals there, and then next thing you know, they're like, get them out of here. That's all I got to say. Okay.
This might be an ignorant statement, but I guess we, the people who are actual American citizens, there's enough of us who need help. We're worried about helping people from other countries.
And you're absolutely correct.
Yeah, giving them hotels.
That's exactly what I feel. Help your own first.
Yeah, help the people who need the help, who are actual citizens.
Well, Dr. Wong, we have a hotel in my town, and I live in a kind of a nicer town, and I remember a year and a half ago, I went by there. They took down the signs because it's filled with immigrants. And, there was like, I remember, there was like 4 cars in the parking lot, just of workers and stuff like that. And then I went by there like 6 months ago, and they're still in there, and every single spot in that whole entire hotel is filled with cars. And so now, I mean, not only are they getting that, they're getting cars. I've heard of restaurants in the town hiring them under the table, for cheaper wages. And I am a firm believer in taking care of your own first.
Right.
Let's be honest. Do I take care of my daughter or a stranger first? And it's just when there's no homelessness, then talk to me.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember Felipe and I having this discussion about how people they were upset about the food. They didn't like their food that they were getting, so then they were getting money instead to buy the food that they wanted. Is that correct?
You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. So we do run homeless shelters and things like that. And what happened is a lot of the finances were being expedited out to big restaurant names, and they were cooking restaurants where me, you, Tommy, and Chris basically will drop like money there. You know what I mean? But they got the food for free. But because they weren't eating it, it was wasted so much food. So they decided to give them cash cards instead, because they figured it's cheaper to give them $25,000 a year than it would be to pay $1 million to feed them. So, and I do apologize. No one quote me on the fee. It might have been more. It might have been a little less. But I believe me and Chris did an episode where Chris did find how much it was about it. Chris, remember that?
Oh yeah, it was 6 figures.
Yeah.
It was a lot of money. It's like I could easily live on half of that.
Yeah, that's what you said. Yeah, we were talking about that.
And then to Dr. Wong, I worked at the airport in 2023. I was there a lot working, and it just listening to obviously listening to the radio, what's going on. It amazed me that how many people we would have, anywhere between 30 and 50 people, immigrants, fly in, and they actually had 1 or 2 troopers assigned 24 hours a day, and their only job was to deal with the immigrants. And what they would do is they get them, they give them vouchers, they give them rides, they set them up they send them to a shelter. If the shelter was full, if you remember, they were staying in the E-terminal at the airport.
Oh, yeah,
and
I do.
Yeah, lived there.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, there was hundreds there. But I guess it'd be interesting to get one last thing. Condolences with both the families that were lost. I have someone at my house who I had an appointment with at 1:30, so I have to go.
Okay, we're going to be closing anyways, but thank you, Chris.
It was great speaking with you guys, and, you all have a great day.
All right, you too, Chris. All right, nobody hang up. Nobody hang up. Hold on. Okay, Chris is on. Okay, hold on. I just got to click him on so I don't hang up on you guys. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Dr. Warren.
So I actually do immigration physicals, and I don't know if people understand what the immigration physicals are. It's people who've actually been in the country for a while, and they're working to get their status here, and it's a process, and it's actually quite a long process. And when they come in to see me, I have to make sure that they're physically and mentally sound. And then most importantly, that they don't have any infectious diseases, mostly tuberculosis, because that's very contagious, as you're probably familiar with working in the prison system. And they have a lawyer that oversees this, and it's a long process. It can take them up to 5 years. And I mean, we've kind of joked before, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, and financially it takes a while too. And we've joked oh my gosh, it'd just be easier if you just came over illegally, and you would have all this money, be set up in a hotel and get food. But these people are trying to do it the right way, and it's a long process. And
which is what we've all discussed, Dr. Wong. You're absolutely right. If you're willing to come here and commit your way to this, as all our family, as your family's immigrants, they came in here, became successful doctors, but they did it the right way, and And you're absolutely right. If it's worth that much to you, then let's do it the right way. Why turn around and deal with it and then establish yourself here well for 15, 20 years, and then you get deported and all these people go, oh my God, he was so nice, or she was so great, but she was still illegal. She was still here illegal. He was still here illegal. You know?
Maryland.
But listen, I'm gonna do a closing, and then afterwards I'd appreciate it. You don't know how much it meant to have all three of yous on, but I want to say something to Facebook for all the followers and everybody else that does follow later on. I am gonna get a speaker for the phone because sometimes I can't get people on the Zoom because of Wi-Fi issues on their side, but it's not my side because it's 100%. But I'm still working on everything, and I do once again extremely apologize, but I'm gonna get the speaker that goes Bluetooth that you can hear everything. And so hopefully you could hear my guest, Dr. Wong, my close friend Tommy Titus, and my other close friend Chris Kosher. But I want to do a little reflection thing because I always put my time into researching and doing stuff and writing stuff in my own words. And I go back and forth and try to figure it out because I really don't articulate very well. And I know that. And I've been like this my whole life. And, I wasn't a guy that had a 3.0 average. I was a guy that just had an average. I was satisfied with a C and a B. And it's not to take it away because to me, a degree is a degree. No one's going to see the degree on the wall and say, hey, what was your average? So sometimes I might say a word wrong, and I'm not going to apologize for that because it's just me. And all the ones that know me know Felipe is Felipe. So I want to do a little reflection. Today, my heart is heavy for Charlie's family, a wife of two children left without a husband and father, for Triana's family who buried their daughter far from the home they fled. These are not just stories. These are lives, families, futures cut short. Condolences, Charlie Kirk's family. May you find strength, knowing his words will live on. To Iryna's family, may you find comfort, knowing her story is told. Her name is remembered. To Boston, may we stand together and never surrender. Our city. So my truth is life is sacred. Sorry, everybody. So to me, life is sacred. Freedom is sacred. Community is sacred. Okay? Want you to take that. Life is sacred. Freedom is sacred. Community is sacred. So we are here for a moment, not we are here for a moment, not forever. So let our moments be filled with courage and not cruelty. So I want to end it by saying war teaches how fragile peace is. To live together is one humanity, is strength. To divide into insanity is weakness. Let us choose humanity, not insanity. So, Dr. Wong, anything you want to say?
That was very well spoken.
Thank you. Tommy?
Well, God bless you, Felipe. I miss you, brother, and let's just get going.
Nah,
Stand strong.
definitely, bro. I got mad love for you forever, bro. Forever. So, everybody from Security Tales, this has been Security Tales. I'm Felipe Montero. I want to thank my co-host, Chris Kasha. I want to thank my very, very close friend, Tommy Titus from The Joint. And of course, my adoring wife, who's going to be 25 tomorrow. Happy early birthday. I'm looking forward to our dinner, our getaway. We're going to have a great time.
25, you're 55 now. This doesn't
But-
work for me.
All right. So, once again, thank you, everyone. Thank you for everybody that tuned in. And to me, it was an emotional day. A lot of bad stories. Blessing to all of you. Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you.
No, thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, everyone over here. So, guys, I do apologize. I got a little